What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Quad Shop Podcast. As always, we're stoked to be here. We got merch. Come on, T.
We got merch, baby. I'm waiting on mine.
Yep. Ronan still needs his shipment to come in, but I got it. So I'll show you the back real quick. Let's just start the episode off, right? Let's show you the back. Merch. We've been talking about it for a while. We finally got it. Let me show you the back.
Dorito back, kid. Go for that brass ring. Let's go.
Let's go, T. Let's go. All right. No. Come on. What's going on?
Guys, so merch is a big step in our journey. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, but finally came in. Shout out to Aiden for hooking it up. And I'll be getting mine soon. So
Yes, sir.
excited to rock it around.
Yeah.
around
So
California and rep it.
basically, if you're interested in obtaining one of our t-shirts, just shoot us a DM on Instagram, or you could go through our website, the contact us section, and we will get it all sorted.
Podcast.net.
Yep, we'll get it all sorted out for you. Yeah, like I said, slim pickings on this go around. We're just mostly like getting an order in because we wanted to start, representing the brand on a t-shirt and giving it to, people, day one listeners, stuff like that. So been dishing them out to the family and friends and, big supporters. So, we appreciate you guys and hope you like the t-shirts, but we do have a couple for sale. So if you want, just DM us and we'll make it happen. So last week, before the buzz of the day, we dropped in, checked in, asked how your week was. I wanted to start the same way before we get into the buzz of the day this week. Ronan, how are you feeling?
Love that.
How was your week? What's going on?
Feeling good. I'm feeling solid. Last week I had a lot of changing, moving parts in my week that I don't normally have, like a lot of some scheduled events, doing different things, which is great. But I'm looking forward to this week, dropping back into my routine, getting back into working out every day. And just getting back into a routine, man. Staying solid this week. Excited. Work's gonna be good. But yeah, last week was solid. Did some fun things, hung out with some cool people, and excited to drop back in and get the routine going this week. So that's love it. Our Mondays start with our podcast, so it's a great way to start the week. How about you, man?
It was good. Did you surf last week?
Did I surf last week? Beginning of last week, yes. La Jolla Shores.
What was that?
It was good.
Post pod or Tuesday, Wednesday?
I can't recall. I think it might have been. I think it was Monday after work.
Monday after pod, after work. Nice. Well, let's get another session in this week. Come on. My week was good, brother. Yeah, it was a good week. I think allergies are starting to kick my ass, but
or is it sinus?
Yeah, no, last week mid pod, I was like sinus earache, like infection. It was not great. Worked through that though.
You did.
Yeah, but now it's just kind of like a lingering thing. So I think it's allergies, but dude, it's so beautiful out. Like the weather's changed and I'm starting to see 60 on the
hey,
oh my god, dude, the sun. It's so nice. So everything's starting to get green and bloom. There's flowers, daffodils, all this like beautiful, just amazing time of year. I love it. The things are starting to shift and change. And, along with the seasons, that happens internally too. So if you're experiencing a shift, if you're experiencing a change, just remember that, it's a seasonal shift. It's a seasonal change as well. So it's normal completely, just work through that. And just a little reminder.
Dude, amazing point. Something we should bring up. And this is a great thing to bring up. Happy Easter to everyone out there.
Happy
everyone
Easter.
Who celebrates it. Easter's not only for people who are religious or celebrate Christianity, but it's also a day that, means rebirth, right? It's the beginning of spring, beginning of summer. It's when the flowers start to turn and bloom. Like it's a beautiful time of year, no matter what you practice or religion you practice.
Mhm.
So I think it means a lot, and really, Easter embodies the word hope in my eyes. Like it's like, okay, things are looking up. You got the winter. People on, that is in the East Coast or on the East Coast or in the who have the 4 seasons.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a beautiful day to celebrate with your family, and I hope everyone had a great Easter. And yeah, things are looking up, man. You kind of feel it, like you said. You're starting to hit 60s back home, starting to feel that energy and starting to build, and into the summer comes. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a beautiful time of year if you really tap into that and understand kind of the shifts and what's going on, and you feel it out there.
100%, dude. 100%. It really is a beautiful time of year. I mean, sometimes it can be hard, that transition. Um, it's easy to like fall into almost like, I guess, hibernation of winter, you know? So
Yeah,
sometimes we fall out of routine, we get lazy, it's cold, stuff like that. And then things start getting warmer and you're still kind of like in that like hibernation mode. So yeah, dude, I really do love this time of year. I notice myself when it's nice outside, I have more energy for whatever reason.
for
Um,
sure. You get that. It's like that internal that internal clock. You see, it's not even internal. You just feel it.
yeah,
You feel it when you. I don't know.
yep. And dude, that's like in winter, like you're fully capable of emitting and feeling that same energy. It's just harder. It's harder.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's harder to 100%. If like back home where we're from, just for context, for the audience, like obviously I think we've talked about it. We're from the Cape Cod, beautiful place. Like in the winter, it's hard when like you have a stretch of like kind of gloomy days, like a little rainy. Still beautiful out, but when you have those days in the winter where it's like still maybe like 30, 35 degrees, but like the sun shining, it's a bluebird kind of day.
mm,
You walk to the beach, you see the stretch of the open beach, no one's out like on the beach walking. It's just like a beautiful, like you have it all to yourself, this beautiful place in nature. Like that's when you can really feel that energy, but it's hard, like because that's not every day, or
right.
consistent. So
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like even though it's brick cold and you know, you might just want to cuddle up on the couch, still try and get outside and do those things. And
Yeah,
yeah, like Cape Cod, dude, you can immerse yourself in these beautiful
so amazing.
scenes, and people pay big bucks to come here and see it, but you can have it all to yourself. It's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But yeah, no,
No,
dude,
you're
I'm
good.
ready for it. Like things are starting to like ramp up at work. It's getting busier. Things are
Can
getting
you feel it in work?
louder. Oh yeah. Things are getting
Okay.
louder and busier and like more like congested, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude,
Um
I know you're making me think about home, dude. I
yeah.
like I know exactly those feelings. Like once May hits, bro, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
You see people
Like,
walking down the streets and like,
yeah,
maybe like a t-shirt here and there. You're like, okay, things are starting to like, so I'm stoked.
yeah.
I'm really
I'm
stoked.
excited. I'm excited to come home for the event in July. I'll
Yeah,
really be
July.
able to
Yeah.
see it. Yep, 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 yep.
Um,
First annual Quad Shot podcast event, and we're still working through that, still planning that. So we'll have a flyer out to you guys, and Aiden will be bopping around town, posting them, and all local businesses. So
mhm.
it's going to be a big event. And we're really excited that we're taking our passions to the next level, and in our beliefs and what we're passionate about, and we're actually taking action and formulating an event around it. So
Yeah,
that's
dude.
coming in
It's gonna
July.
be
But
sick. I'm stoked for
but
it.
yeah, man, I know it's funny you bring that up. I know exactly what kind of like time of year it is back home, and I'm like, damn,
Mhm.
like there's nothing. It's
Yeah,
hard to
how's it
beat that,
feel out there? Right? Because it's the same time of year, but it's not such a dramatic seasonal shift. So do you notice
Yeah,
as
dramatic
much of
change.
like do you notice that at all, or is it just pretty steady out there?
Funny you say that. It's steady weather wise, but like it's still like it's starting to get busy. Summer's here. I haven't been here for
Mm,
full summer yet. You know that, but
yep.
like I've heard it gets crazy. The energy, like this past weekend, I went to the beach a few times. Actually went Saturday and Sunday, two different beaches. But down at Pacific Beach, like it's people are moving and grooving there. Like you can feel it. Like The UV was, I think it was like an 8 or 9, dude. Like,
Oh, cooking,
yeah,
dude.
man.
Oh my god.
So like everyone was
Roast
out
'em.
on the beach tanning. It felt like a summer day. Like you could tell there was definitely more people out than like a winter day that's like 60 and sunny here, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
70 sunny. It was still a little windy, but like you feel it. It's starting to like, because everyone from like Arizona and like people, this is also a big vacation spot, even though
Right.
year round it's great weather, you
Yep.
know? So yeah,
Yep.
definitely feel it, man. Definitely feel it. So
Awesome, dude.
it's good. Great time of year. I'm glad we covered that before we got into the buzz of the day, and you have that today. But yeah, happy Easter, everyone. Beautiful time of year once you tap into the surroundings, and really I look at it as like, hey, the universe, the earth, God, whatever you believe in, is trying to give you a sense of hope during Easter, and at least a day to hopefully have you feel that and carry that into the summer and beyond into the next winter. So
Yeah.
that's the goal. I think that's what Easter's all about, and just being feeling grateful and
Yeah, counting your blessings, you know what I mean? Surround yourself with the people you care about, and a reminder of the shed and the growth and the rebirth, right? It's a cycle. Things die and things, are born, and it's a cycle of life, and it's a beautiful cycle. And I think
Yep,
the seasons show that, externally, but we go through it internally as well. And we
100%.
see it in others as well. So yeah, I love that. Thanks, man. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
Hope. Let's get into buzz of the day. I got it this week. Little bit different. So for this week's buzz of the day, I want to pose it as a question. So I'm going to ask the question, and if you feel inclined to do so, why don't you pause the podcast and, answer that question, whether you write it down on a sheet of paper, you say it out loud, or you say it in your head. Answer it for yourself and your situation. Ronan, I want you to, obviously publicly answer this question on the
Yep.
pod,
I got you, bro.
and I
Love
will
it.
I will do the same. So,
Yep.
um, this isn't, so that being said, the question isn't supposed to instill any negative energy, or you know any worry or anything like that. It's actually, the opposite. So I'll go ahead and ask it. It'll be a little bit more clear, but the question is, what is something in your life that you have felt an overwhelming amount of fear? It could be at any point, it could be recent. So
Overwhelming amount of fear.
an overwhelming amount of fear. And there's sub questions off of this, but that's the main question. It doesn't have to
Say
be the most fear you've ever felt. It can just be a scenario where you felt an overwhelming amount of fear, because we've all been there.
overwhelming amount of fear. Yeah.
We've all been there.
Okay, so people don't know. So I have a twin brother, and very close. Grew up together. Obviously, like that's all we did is when you have a twin and no other siblings, like you literally are like you spend every day together, every waking moment, And we both played baseball, so that was our thing. And we spent every day together, And I would say recently, I'm out here in California. I don't have my family out here for me, and I think obviously, like when I sit back and think, obviously the most important thing is family at the end of the day, and your close friends. And my brother right now is, I don't want to put his business out there too much, but he's kind of going through a transition period. And, obviously that creates challenging and tough times. And sometimes the outlook can be a little dim at times, a little gloomy, because you're unsure of, through that transition period, what you're going to do. And obviously from a standpoint of me and understanding my emotions and understanding him, like I think I've seen him not cope, or maybe not really strive to reach his full potential in some areas. and that concerned me and made me worry about him. And obviously, my mind went to like, okay, well, obviously, if someone's not saying he's not doing well, but if someone has ups and downs, and one big immense thing of fear that I think one night I was laying in bed, I think a few weeks ago, and like I thought about him, and I thought about growing up with him. And you can relate. You have two brothers. But yeah, I just thought about like losing him and like that fear of losing him and like what that would do to me and how I would feel and like how I don't know how I would live, like it,
Yeah.
obviously I would, but like, so that was an immense fear that came over me knowing that like he's going through a transition period and I'm not there to like help or like be there for him
Mm.
since I'm like 3,000 miles away. That was really hard. I just thought about him and was a little sad and felt for him. It was just like then turned to kind of fear of like, okay, well, what if he doesn't figure it out? Like, what's going to happen? Is he going to be okay? What happens if something happens to him? Like, I worry about
Yep.
that. So I was really concerned. So that was something that really kept me up at night. Obviously, I FaceTime him every day and check in on him, but still, some of those. That was like where it kind of all came together. I was like, worried about him, and really
Yeah.
felt an immense amount of fear about losing my brother.
So this is perfect. It's a perfect example of why I wanted to ask this question as the buzz of the day. Because now, second question being, so how did that fear make you feel physically? What were you feeling physically thinking those thoughts?
Physically, I was in bed. I was feeling like I wanted to change, like physically just not like there. Like I wanted to like kind of snap out of it and like, I don't know. It's like kind of an out of body, not like out of body experience, but I just like one of those things like a deep fear where like you can't, you're in it, you're thinking it, you're feeling it. And like,
Okay, but did you have, a stomach ache, or were you
no
clenching
stomach ache,
your
just
jaw? Or did you have tightness in your chest, or did your
my
neck
body just
hurt?
felt like it was, my body just felt like it was just full of like some lactic acid. And I'm just like slow and just like stiff,
Hmm.
like not really able to like, not, I know I was able to move, but it just finally like everything, because I'm pretty, my mind goes a mile a minute sometimes. And I was just thinking, and then that was a thought that really made me go, oh,
You were
because
in
everything
like a
kind of went
thought
quiet. And
paralysis,
a
or
little
just
bit,
kind of
like
like
just a little
frozen.
frozen thinking about that. And I think as I've gotten older, and maybe you have as well, like, I think when you're younger, you think you're immortal and everything's fine, it's great. And then when you get older, you see the world for how it is, and it's a beautiful place. But then there's also the flip side of like, okay, hey, we're not eternal beings. We don't,
Yes.
die and then come back to life, right? Like maybe in a different form,
Yeah.
but like not in the true physical life that you have now. So I think
That's a
that hits
that's a
me
true
once in a
statement.
while.
Yeah, that's a true statement,
Yeah.
100%. So now I'm going to ask
Yeah.
you another question. So you felt fear about this
Yep.
certain situation. Physically, you felt as if you were kind of like in a thought paralysis, a little bit
And
frozen.
also fearful that he wouldn't like fulfill his potential on this
Okay.
planet
So now I
as
guess
well.
question number 3 for you would be, do you feel as if those thoughts, the fearful thoughts, were beneficial for you or him at that time?
I don't, I wouldn't say they weren't, I wouldn't say they were beneficial. I would say that made me appreciate our conversations on FaceTime more, 100%.
That's kind of
And
where you ended it. You concluded.
yeah, I mean, I went to bed,
Right.
it was late at night. And so I just like I think it's easy, like out here, and you've seen how can I live my life out here. I do my thing. I fill my days, which is great. But I think I don't lose track of what's important, but I think shit like that really puts it in perspective. It's like, okay, well, I have family across in the East Coast. Like, what happens if, I don't come home and see them, or what's going to change since I'm not? It's almost that kind of like fear of that lack of control. Like, if
Yeah.
I was there, I'd be able to, hey, like, let's go do this, like all that stuff. So I think That was the toughest part.
Okay. So,
Like,
right. So what you're doing, I feel like, is creating all these different scenarios that like induce fear within you about, you know, him not doing something or not fulfilling or whatever. You know what I mean? And then that's causing fear. And then it puts you in like a thought paralysis. And yeah. So I don't know. I guess my question is for you, like, do you feel like that fear was like a necessary feeling? Like, was it beneficial? Was it progressive? Like,
I think so,
do you think you
because
could
it
have
made me
spent?
say a prayer for him.
Okay.
Made me say a prayer for him and said, wish him all well, and I hope he fulfills his dreams, and it's just there to, because he's such an amazing person, and like he has so much to offer. He just doesn't always show that, and that's my hope for him, is to be able to show that throughout this lifetime. And yeah, it made me just appreciate him more, our childhood together, look back, and I definitely don't think it was a non-beneficial thought process. I think I
Yeah.
had it for a reason. I felt that way for a reason about what he's going through back on the East Coast.
Of course.
Not
But
saying-
my
yeah.
what my point is here is
What do you got? What do
you
you got?
could have gone right to the prayer without any of the fear. Because the reason that you ended up, or the reason you said your prayer, isn't because of all the fear that you had. And it shouldn't be the reason you say your prayer. Okay? So that's one thing that I've realized in my life. When I say a prayer, is it because of a cause and effect of a negative thing happening, right? So if
someone
something,
should just be like,
you say right. So if I'm driving in the car and I get into a close, head-on collision, and I'm driving and my heart's beating wicked fast, and I'm like, oh, say a little prayer. Thank you, God, I'm still here. Right? Cause and effect, boom. That leads me to, but no.
you're saying that prayer when you wake, like, every day.
Exactly. I could wake up every single day and say that prayer. Right? So you don't,
yeah.
This is the whole point of what I'm trying to say. You don't need the fear to end up to the conclusion that you're at, right? So
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm glad I had that fear because I ended up in this spot. You always were in that spot without the fear. You always have loved your brother. You've always wanted what's best for your brother. You've always, wished him the best and wanted him to succeed and do all these things, to better himself, right? So you don't need to sit there in your bed in a thought paralysis, worrying about him and panicking just to say a prayer for him. You don't need that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And
I agree.
I want to bring that up because it's so prevalent in my life right now. And I've realized this. Yes.
Well, hopefully before I ask this question, you're going to answer your own question, correct?
Of course.
Okay. Before you answer that, what made you bring this to Buzz of the Day?
What my answer to the question is the reason I wanted to bring it up as Buzz of the Day. So it's a recent thing for me. It happened within this past week.
Amazing. Okay, so take it away. I'm going to let you rock.
Okay.
Deal?
So before I get into my thing, if you paused it in the beginning and you answered the question, the question being, what is something that has induced a lot of fear in your life? You answered the question, whether you wrote it down or, said it aloud. Now, answer the questions that I just asked Ronan about that situation pertaining to you. Honestly, answer those questions and see the whole layout. Be honest and look at the reality of the situation if you even needed to feel that fear in the first place. So, here we go. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I was standing actually right behind me, and I was holding my girlfriend in my arms. A beautiful moment, just like we weren't saying goodbye or hello. I just looked at her and just wanted to hold her. So I was holding her, and all of a sudden, I felt like this stabbing in my chest because of the thoughts that were going through my head. And the thoughts that were going through my head were a deep, deep fear of being betrayed.
That's really rough, dude.
Yeah, a deep,
Go ahead.
deep.
This is
So
good. Keep going.
it was its first thought that went through my head was obviously being cheated on. Second
Okay.
thought that went through my head was being lied to. Third thought that went through my head was losing her because of one of those things. And it just went on from there, steamrolled. And it was very fast. This all happened very quickly. And
This is surprising to hear, not gonna lie.
yeah, well, this is why I wanted to bring it up.
Okay,
So
keep going. This is good. This is a good story.
so I thought it was so impactful because in a moment of like pure bliss, you know, feeling her love, and granted it's a long story, but I wasn't really looking to get into a relationship. This just kind of happened upon me, and it was like fate. It's a whole long story, but since I've met my girlfriend, since the day I've met her, I've trusted her completely, right? But I still had these thoughts, and I trust her to her core, and I still was going through these thoughts. And that I've realized now is because of how I've treated people in my past and how I've been treated by other people in my past. Okay. So I've been the betrayer and I've been betrayed. I've been the liar and I've been lied to. And
Wow.
it's, it infiltrated a moment of pure bliss out of nowhere. Nothing. I guess the trigger for me was I felt safe and loved, and all of a sudden that was
It's like that opposite. Okay, you can't have this. It's almost like, well, why am I feeling so good? There must be this attached to it, right? So it's always like
right.
that yin and yang, that push and pull. You know, that little
Yeah.
voice inside you. It's like,
Yeah.
keep going, man. Keep going. What do you
So I took a step back and I looked at her and I told her what just happened. It was like a 30-second hug, maybe a little bit longer.
Sure.
And I just told her and said, hey, you know, this, and this. And she obviously like comforted me, you know, and it's hard to explain because I don't think she would ever do that. And like I said, I trust her. But those thoughts came up because of, you know, like I said, things in my past that I've done and have been done to me. So what that leaves me with is that there's still some healing to do in there. Okay. So then that led me to be like, okay, so that fear was beneficial because I needed it to realize that I needed to heal. But if I'm being honest with myself and I'm looking at the situation as, you know, a whole. So I'm actually going to stop myself right there. I'm going to answer the question. So the first question I asked you was, how did you feel physically? How did I feel physically in the moment when I was hugging her, having these thoughts go through my head was like someone stabbed a fucking knife into my chest and my stomach twisted and turned. I got a little hot and I felt that pit, you know, in my stomach. And, you know, it was like my heart started beating faster. All these things were going on inside of my body because of a fear that had come about that was triggered by a beautiful moment. Okay, this is what our bodies are capable of. It's very interesting. So that's how I felt physically. What was the second question I asked you? Do you think you benefited from the fear? No.
Yeah. Well,
No.
and I answered. I said, in my honest opinion, I thought, I think it helped me come to a conclusion in from those feelings, you know, and what I was going to do and to take action after the fear. But I understand what you mean. So go ahead.
Yeah. So no, I don't think the fear is beneficial for me in that moment. It actually took me out of the moment, right? And induced the, physical reaction I just talked about, which is something I would rather not experience. And then yeah, it just was like a chain. But what I did was I was open and I was honest and I was vulnerable in the moment with her and shared her what I just experienced, because in the past that, might be something that I wouldn't have said to someone. And just kind of like, kept it as a thought and then pushed it away and been like, no. But my answer was there all along, right? I don't need to go through that fear. I don't need to feel that fear because, like I stated prior, I trust her to my core. That's my answer, right? That's my answer to all of the questions and feelings that I was feeling in that moment, right? So I didn't even need to go down that path. I didn't even need to go down that path at all. And being able to decipher that, right? And it's interesting because in the last book that we read, The Mountain is You, it talks about processing your emotions and allowing those emotions to be there and allowing yourself to feel them. And fear was one of them. So I'm not telling you to push that fear away and avoid it. That's not what I'm telling you at all. I'm telling you to become aware of the fear. Become aware of how it makes you feel physically. Become aware of the reality. What is the reality of the situation? What's the fucking reality? Okay? And did you have your answer all along? Deep down. So now what you're doing is you're taking preventative measures to feel that fear in the future. And you're realizing that it was not a proper use of fear. Okay. A proper use of fear is when you're walking or you're going on a hike in Alaska and you see a grizzly bear. Is there a grizzly bear in Alaska? And then that fear is triggered.
Yeah, probably.
Boom. Fear is triggered. That's a proper use of fear. Right? It's a fight or flight. Okay. And the amygdala fires when
that happens.
When we,
feel that.
Exactly. It's triggered by certain things. So it's noticing that, right? And it's noticing the proper use of this. And that was my whole point of the buzz of the day is, was it a proper use? And
probably not, but
it's important to feel it. It's important to understand it, and it's important to process it. But now let's reality check it. Okay. Let's reality check it.
And I think The Mountain is You talked a lot about that in the previous book, Brianna Weiss. Like she talked about a lot of those temporary thoughts and emotions that come up, and like those thoughts that are irrational come up and like peak the brain real quick, right? And then those thoughts that are actually more real, they come a little bit slower, and you process them. Like it sounded like in that moment, obviously it was come from a little bit of your past and trauma, but also a little bit of the that kind of that lizard brain that we talk about, that kind of anxiety, kind of irrational thought, where it's like, this moment's so beautiful, your brain just wanted to poke and prod a little bit, like, okay, what if this, what if that? And obviously it comes back to kind of like your past, but as well as like, I'm sure people even not with that trauma have had similar scenarios where it's like, wait, why did my brain just do that in such a beautiful moment, right? So understanding that your brain is there to try to protect you, but at the end of the day, listening to that and indulging in that is not going to help you or protect you.
Mhm.
It's just going to probably do the opposite and help you and it's going to sabotage the situation rather than feeling those emotions and just letting them roll off your tongue, and roll off your shoulders and kind of continue to be in the moment, because those thoughts don't mean anything. She also talked about psychic thinking, those thoughts that, those feelings that come up like in immediate situations, or those thoughts that come up and like people always think about, oh, this means this must mean this about the situation. No, that's wrong, right? Like
Mhm.
the thoughts that came upon you were like, yeah, I don't trust her. Like there's no reality there, right? It's just based
Right.
on the past and everything else that came with it, right? Our brain loves to do that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
don't
dude, it was
believe the
like
psychic thinking.
the psychic thinking for you in your case would be like, if I was there, I'd be able to do something. You're not there, right? So that's like looking into a reality that's not even a reality, right? You're creating scenarios. If
It's
I
crazy when we've
was, you know,
yeah, it's crazy when we've unpacked this, like how just some irrational thoughts come out. It's like when you talk about them in person to someone that you're like, you kind of, when you're talking about them, like, oh shit, I had that thought.
mm-hmm.
The heck, like it doesn't align with the situation or like the reality of life, So it's like
Everyone's got them.
it's nice to be able to check yourself and internal. I talked about this on our last podcast, but be your own therapist, internally regulate yourself and get to that point. But so question for you, some of this trauma that you have to work through, and first of all, shout out your girlfriend for your being supportive and understanding where you're coming from. Um, where do you think you go from here?
Where do I go from here? I understand that the fear that I experienced was from past situations that still need a little bit of time to heal. So I think the way forward with that is simply because I have done a lot of healing in that realm. I have done a lot of processing those emotions, and a lot of growth has happened in that department. So I think from here is, if it happens again, if those thoughts arise again, noticing them and reminding myself, noticing them as soon as I can, right, in that moment, and then reminding myself of the reality, how much I love this person and how much they love me and how much we trust each other, right? So
Coming back to that.
coming back to that,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think that's the way forward here. There's nothing really to go back into the past and dig up and resurface and try and process, because I've already done all that, right? I've done all that, and I think it's more of a present thing, right? So it's not trying to unpack and fix something that happened in the past, because I feel like I've done the work there. It's more so incorporating it into now, because I haven't been in a relationship since then,
Yeah.
so this is my opportunity now.
Dude, it's funny you say that. I'm just smiling because I totally understand that. And I've told my history, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah, I had this conversation with you yesterday. It's like, as soon as a relationship or I start to see like a potential, like just like from my past and like what's happened in scenarios, like my brain loves, the rational brain loves to take over, almost as tries to protect me from like, from being hurt again or anything like that. So it's a very interesting thing, and it takes work. And I think, relationships really help you uncover anything that you need to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why everyone's like, you grow when you're in relationships, and like that's the goal, is to grow with someone and like uncover a lot about yourself that you didn't know needed some TLC, So yeah, I can definitely relate and resonate. So love the journey you're on. It sounds like you've got a strong foundation, and just going to continue to work through, right? And like not believe those thoughts, and come back to that trust, right? You both have in each other. So that's the most important thing. And And yeah, some of those things are out of your control, right? It's like the
Mhm.
only thing you can do is put your best foot forward, and whatever happens will happen. And it's almost like, yeah, you trust in the other person, but then trust in the universe and whoever
Yes.
you believe in, that things will work out, and then whatever will happen, you're well equipped to deal with, and you'll deal with it no matter
And
what.
yeah, it
So
was supposed to happen. So yeah,
yeah,
I appreciate that
yep,
little bit of wisdom there. That's a good
yeah.
way to end it. Um,
And the buzz of the day, huge buzz
yep.
of the day. That was amazing. I think we'll definitely get some nice reels out from this one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And
I love that
before
there's one part. Go ahead.
before we close it off, now if you've been along for the ride and working through your own fear scenario, um
Know that you're not
maybe
alone.
you're not alone. So pause it and just reread it and you know, be proud of yourself for taking the time and processing whatever you just did. So let's get into the book, my man. Let's get into the book.
This is a random thought.
What do we got?
If I may,
Yeah.
dude, I want to stop like drinking. I feel like it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. I had some wine
Dude,
over
like,
the weekend for Easter at my dad's.
which is fine, but like,
But
I don't know. It's just like going out and like just drinking and that, like those beer, like it's just becoming more of something that doesn't really align, I think, with me anymore.
I feel that.
Yeah, for sure, special occasions, but I'm just like, why? The weekend comes, it's like almost our society. It's like, okay, now you get to earn and go out and drink. Like it's like, especially around here, it's like easy to like get caught up in that. So it's like, you know what, like, why am I doing this for a few extra laughs?
Why do you think you're doing it?
Yeah, well, like,
Why?
I think probably just go out, meet people,
Yeah.
um, have some fun. But then I always come back to like, okay, well, what's fun about feeling like shit the next day, or like just not even feeling like shit, just feeling like kind of like the anxiety about, or like maybe that small guilt about drinking the night before. That, like, I don't know, it just kind of all, for me, it it hasn't really sat right with me lately, and I think I've
Yeah.
told you this, but
Yeah.
doesn't really align with, or that time I could be out doing that, I could be focusing on something else.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I don't know, that's just a random thought I had for the pod today.
Dude, it's funny. I mean, yeah, it's okay, so I'm gonna give you a little like piece of a like a double entendre to not to combat, to add on to what you just said. Okay, so
Go ahead.
it was a Saturday night. I was in my pajamas and I was editing the podcast, right? Totally comfy, no plans on doing anything else. It was like 9 o'clock. I'm, already ate. I'm in, I'm done, chilling. One of my buddies calls me. Ozzy, bro.
uh, uh,
He's like, hey, want to go out? I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm just chilling, this and that. Here we go. Peer pressure, pushing.
there he goes. There he goes.
I end up saying, all right, let's go. So I go out. And, we went to the local dive, Chatham Squire, and I met my girlfriend that night.
No, wait, was that night?
Yeah. So it's a
worked
weird
out
one, right? It's a
for you.
weird one, right? Because I've been to that place a bunch, and yeah, I've experienced that feeling you're talking about. And I could have not gone, whatever, right? So it's not the only way to meet people, right? I think I just got really lucky. But
that's a good counter argument. I just think maybe
it's not really even a counter. It's not even really a count, because I'm with you here. I'm with you. But I just wanted to say that because it's funny. It's like, I don't know. But
were you drinking that night?
I did have 2 drinks that night.
What was she drinking?
She had 2 drinks as well, I believe. Um, it was a quick. It was a quick. I wanted to be in bed by like 11:30 or something, so it wasn't. It wasn't a late night.
Did you dip with Ozzy? What was he doing?
Yeah, I left with
Did you
Ozzy.
stay?
I left with Ozzy.
Oh,
But yeah, so I hear you, man. It's interesting. You don't have to, like, you can still go out to the same place and not drink, but are you still going to have those same feelings, right? Because you're still meeting the same people, and it's the type of people and type of
I think it's
experiences
just more
you
the
have.
type of people
It's
plus the
type.
beer. It's like, all right,
Exactly.
well, why am
It's
I out
the
right now?
it's the type of people, it's the type of experiences, and it's the place. I feel like
Yeah.
that are kind of setting the tone for you to feel this way. And the alcohol as well, right? You're obviously feeling some resistance towards alcohol. So don't do something else, right?
Yeah.
Maybe hit it early, right? Hit the hay early, and then, instead of spending 2 or 3 hours at the bar, hit the hay earlier and spend 2 or 3 hours the next morning doing something different, right? And see if that works for you. See if you like, go hit a cafe up and, bring your computer and do a little bit of work and start peppering people, going, hey, is that double shot? Whatever, right? You
Like
can
a
meet
lemon
people
pepper
that way.
scone.
Go for a walk
Yeah.
on PB Boardwalk, and if you see someone interesting, say what up, meet them that way.
Yeah.
Different things, try different things, right? Because the bar is a weird place. Everyone, I feel like, is on the hunt, right? It's when you see the turkeys all puffed out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there's
No,
like
I
a
don't
bunch
love,
of female
I honestly
turkeys.
don't love that energy sometimes, bro. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's just because the guys, if you give them one bad glance or if you like bumping them, they're just ready to scrap,
Right.
And it's like, I'm out to enjoy my time. Like, it just, I don't know.
Yeah. So try something else, because that time, like you said, it could be spent doing something different. So try it, see how it goes. That's what I've been doing. It's
Report
been
back
good.
on the pod.
Yep. Let's get into the book.
All right, chapter 3, guys, of Do Hard Things by Steve Magnus. We both read and we're ready to review chapter 3 and give our insight. Hopefully, you guys are reading along. If not, we'll give you a Spark Note version. Deal? Deal. All right.
Deal.
Look 'em like me.
Let me pull up my notes here. Yeah, so basically, to sum things up with this chapter, it definitely was a quick one, but it was a good one. And there's a lot of, I feel like things are starting to ramp up in this book. And I think, both of us feel we're not into this book as much as we were the last one, but maybe that just means that there's more here. So we got to keep going with it, and we got to keep diving into
Keep
it.
unpacking.
Yep. So I'm going to go through the 5 steps that he talked about in the chapter, because it's important. Set appropriate goals, number 1. Number 2, set authentic goals. Okay. So appropriate goals is the balance between, your skill level and the challenges that await. Okay. So seeing your goals as a stepping stone and walking that path, through the reality of the situation. And the authenticity, the authentic goals, is coming from you, your true self. You're not setting goals from any outside expectations from someone, whether that be a coach or a parent. Okay. And then 3, define judgment and expectation. So it's not judging yourself when you don't perform how you thought you were going to. Okay. Or you set too high of expectations and you're not hitting that. So it's realigning that focus on your performance, your plan, and your effort. Okay. Because that's going to help you. That's going to help you do what you need to do. Okay. Judging yourself is not going to help you in that situation. And then course correct for stress, right? Obstacles come up and things happen, and it could kind of catch you off guard. So when you need to course correct, it's having the ability, the tools, and the knowledge to course correct. Okay. And it's not being thrown off by fear or inner dialogue or anything like that, because you are confident in the skills that you have, and your performance. So number 5 being prime your mind. Okay. Priming your mind. So you're searching for opportunities. You're not searching for threats, because when you're searching for threats or anticipating a threat, you're in a place of fear and you're not going to perform your best. When you're searching for opportunities, it's just going to align you much more with those goals that you set prior. And then ask yourself, how do you see yourself in the world around you? Because he did ask that at the end of the chapter, and I thought that was interesting because this chapter is all about reality. What is the reality of the situation?
Yep.
Okay. Don't let fear, expectations, uh, or unrealistic goals cloud you from the path forward.
Yes.
It's a balance. I feel like this chapter was all about a balancing act, the balance. And he's just introducing toughness and saying that it really begins with expectations and comprehending the reality of the situation. And that's how I would sum this chapter up. I thought it was good. I definitely took stuff
That was a
away
hell
from
of a
it.
summary.
Thanks, bro.
You covered most things.
Before I switch it over to you, I just want to talk about the two ways he talked about responding to a situation. Right? He's telling you to view something or respond in a way where you view something as a challenge, right? Rather than responding in a way where you view something as a threat. And when you respond with a perception of a challenge, your body produces adrenaline and testosterone. And this chemical reaction is really beneficial for performance. But when you respond in a threat response, your body produces cortisol. And that is
which shuts down your muscles.
It's not beneficial for performance, but it's our cortisol rises every single morning when we wake up and our body temp starts going up. We need cortisol, right? It's a good thing, but we don't need it flaring up in these situations, right? So, like we said, our brains are designed for a challenge. Okay, they're made that way. So presenting it with a challenge rather than a threat is going to give you that performance that you want. What do you got for this chapter? What do you think?
Damn, you kind of did a hell of a job summing it up, but I'll say this. You're more likely to achieve your goals if they are authentic. So make sure your goals are authentic to yourself and your vision of your future self. We talked about this in The Mountain Is You. Picture your future self and work towards that. Mm-hmm. What would my future self want to do and accomplish? Like your passion, your goals, like it should be authentic to you and your mission and who you are. That's first and foremost. Don't set goals that are someone else's goals, your family's goals, or anyone else. That should be, not even have to be said, but yes, a lot of people I know are kind of stuck between the crossroads there when it comes to, family pressures, all that.
Yeah.
Setting appropriate goals. Obviously, our message here at Quad Chop Podcast is you can achieve anything you want with the right efforts and, path forward and mission. But I'm not sure if I agree with him setting appropriate goals just because of, should never cap your goals because inability mismatch and so on and so forth. But you should cap your goals if you do have an ability mismatch. You don't take steps to get there and increase your ability, right? So that's my take.
Yep.
It's like, okay, I understand where he's coming from, setting appropriate goals, but there's also room for improvement when you want to get to that maybe goal that seems unachievable, or maybe in Steve's mind unachievable. Mm-hmm. There's a way to get there with the right amount of effort.
Definitely.
And yeah, like you said, I think you wrapped up the challenges versus threats thing great. Easy to be tough when you know you can handle the situation. That's for sure. And the true test comes when you can't.
Yep.
When you know you can't handle the situation, how do you respond?
Mm-hmm. And that's being open with your vulnerabilities. Like, what ways are you weak?
Yep. Acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses is a great segue, right? Mm-hmm. Like, don't project something you can't back up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I got. But really toughness maxim. That's what this whole chapter portrayed, toughness maxim, right? Like, have an accurate appraisal of, if we have an accurate appraisal of our abilities, then we can then in turn have an accurate appraisal of the demands of our demands, right? So I think that makes sense. Obviously, it's kind of a no-brainer. But I also think that, hey, if our ability is this, like, you can set a goal 10 years down the road or 5 years, however it takes to get to that goal, even if your ability is not there, because you can achieve, in certain skills and areas, you can, you know, be capable and achieve and get those skills and abilities, right? But that's my take on that. I think I align with everything else you said.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it was overall solid chapter. Looking forward to reading more and seeing what else Steve brings to the table. But definitely makes sense and good read. So
Yeah, good read. I want to touch on one more thing before we close this podcast out. I forget the athlete's name that he was referring to. It started with a D.
Holman, the guy who scaled Mount Everest or climbed.
No. It was like Darren or Durin or something like that. Devlin. It was one of like an athlete that he coached. But he quoted him in this, right? They were talking about how everyone has a mask on, right, at these events. A mask of their ability, a mask of just like projecting this facade. And then once stress hits, so his quote here is, stress exposes you. Right. So
so does. You see people who just get a little bit of stress, they freak out, like whether that's in traffic or anything. It's like, no. Then you're like, okay, what's wrong with this person? It really does, dude. That's
stress exposes you. So what's underneath the mask, right? That is what you are working for. And you can't let stress make you unstable, right? Or make you perform less. And that's what this book's all about. That. Navigating the fog of war with grace and grit, as we said last episode. So this was episode 20, T. We made it, man. How you feeling? Come on.
Great episode 20 episodes in, man. It's been quite the journey. It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Excited to bring you another good one today. Thought we covered a lot of good things, and I think the buzz of the day was super impactful with the real life example from not only Aiden but myself.
Yep.
And then hopefully people can relate out there that they're not alone. It happens. And we're human beings at the end of the day. We have fears, but there's always a way to cope or a way around it. And
process it.
It tied in with this chapter as well, right? It's like, okay, hey, if you're met with an uncomfortable, fearful situation, Steve says, hey, if you have the ability and you have the training and you're more well equipped to deal with that. What I forget completely what he said, but basically it was when you handle, it's easy to be tough when you can handle the situation. But so it's like you have these threats, but if you see them as challenges, then it's easier to overcome, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, I saw it as a challenge of, okay, where do I need to go from here with the feelings that I had about my brother?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you need to go from there and kind of take action and with the thoughts you had about your girlfriend? So good stuff. Loved it. Episode 21 will be next week, and we'll be doing chapter 4, and I'll have buzz of the day. So anything else before we wrap?
No, man. I think that's it. Just super stoked with the season change, spring. It's a beautiful time. Remember, it's a transition, so be easy with yourself. And if you did follow along with the buzz of the day, take the time necessary to process whatever, situation that was brought up for you. And like you said, understand you're not alone in this. It's we all go through these types of situations. And that's why we're here doing what we do with our podcast. We want to give you guys our 2 cents, our own experiences, and hope that you can take something away to better deal with situations in your own life. And that will have a positive impact. So, super blessed, super, super grateful. Appreciate you, bro. And all the wisdom you brought to today's episode. I hope everyone has a beautiful, beautiful week, and we'll catch you next week for episode 21.
And one more thing before you completely shut this one down, close it out. QuadShotPodcast.net is our website. All our links are on there, and you can also see. Hey, leave a comment if you would like some merch or anything, or what your thoughts are. And I'll be getting my merch in soon. We'll be rocking it on the pod. So
Yes,
we got some people repping the merch, so shout out them. And let us know. So
yeah.
That being said,
all right.
for
Quad shot, baby.
helping out.
Have a good week. Signing off. Let's go.